Welcome, Internet Capitalists, to episode 31 of The Big Show. Coming to you today from Gibsonia, Pennsylvania. Ben is settled in nicely in Charlotte, and we are here on what is perhaps the biggest weekend in crypto in the past several years, 3, 4, 5 years, maybe ever.
It's the craziest weekend, craziest week, craziest few days that I've ever seen in crypto, and I've been here since 2021, so that's not everything, but I don't know how you beat it really. And I'll just say it: the president, who will be inaugurated tomorrow, launched a meme coin on the Solana network, and it quickly 5x his net worth, became a top 10 biggest cryptocurrency in the world, and it's driving the entire market insane. What are your initial thoughts about what happened and just where we are? Can you believe this?
So, you always told me I had to set aside reality sometimes in crypto.
Mm-hmm.
And it took the Trump meme coin to make that happen. And I I couldn't pull the trigger on it. I couldn't do it. But
I told you
it,
about it.
you told me about it. I could have got in at about $6 and got a 10x or whatever. I didn't do it. But when I saw it was at 30 billion market cap, and the icing on the cake for me that just said this is crazy, suspend reality, don't fight logic, don't fight rationalism, was an hour ago when Melania came out.
Yeah. The
And I
first
have
lady.
Melania, the first lady, Melania, on the screen right now. It's up a mere 12,000% in 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to think, although I do feel like I now understand the when people say degen and suspend reality and some of the other words, I understand what they mean now because it's crazy. And we're talking about these coins. There's broader implications here.
Oh, it's huge implications. We can talk about the coins themselves, what this means from a Trump administration perspective, and what this means for regulation and everything in America generally, and then what it means for crypto markets, because we saw some really interesting things happen in crypto markets, particularly because a lot of the capital is sidelined. So we launched the coin on Friday night, and we have the long weekend because of the inauguration and MLK Day on Monday. So the institutions can't even get back until Tuesday. I wonder what they're thinking. But what happened was we saw liquidity just get sucked out of all of the on-chain dexes, all the on-chain tokens, and just it was pooled to Trump like a black hole of gravity. And we saw some tokens outperform here. We really saw Solana ecosystem tokens outperforming everything, and Solana Turbo Moon to a new all-time high. But Melania launched a second token and also had some performance issues, and now people are a little more not nearly as bullish, not bearish, not nearly as bullish on Solana just because he's just using it to launch shitcoins, which is what we've always said its use is. But there's a whole lot of implications. So, do you want to start with the more market stuff and what I'm thinking and what I'm doing, or do you want to start with the American vision, the Trump administration vision, what's going to happen with regulation? Either
I
way.
think we start with the American vision. We're on the eve of the inauguration of the 47th president of the United States. Let's start with that.
Yeah, 100%. So I'll just give my initial thoughts. So I really
Yeah.
liked the team that Trump put around him. I thought I was pretty optimistic. Like I don't like everything Trump or the Trump admin does, but I was like, it's a needed change specifically in the tech sector where we need looser regulations. You can't go to the AI industry, you can't go to the crypto industry and tell them that you're not going to let them innovate at all and just shut the whole thing down. Government control AI, which is what Mark Andreessen said they told him they were going to do.
Yep.
You can't do that. So I was looking forward to that, and that would be a welcome change. I still think that happens, but what we're seeing just from this token launch, the implications of it is that all bets are off. The doors are swinging off. This is unlike anything we've ever seen before. So we're definitely going to get that innovation, I think. But there's going to be more wreckage than I initially anticipated or hoped in the wake of this. I think that's my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I tend to agree with all of that, but I'm a how do I want to put this? I think there is no limit to innovation in the next 4 years.
Mhm.
Um, I think the Trump coins. I don't. the people that are buying them, I think, are well aware of what can happen. I really don't. If they rug it, great. If they don't, great too. I don't really feel either way about it. Um, I don't think it's good or bad for crypto. I think it's an incredible publicity stunt. And all I was a technologist, and I see all these kind of native technologists on crypto Twitter, like, "Oh, we can't do this, we can't do this." What they don't understand is anytime you're in the news, it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, this may not look great to them or the rest of the world, but it certainly brings attention to crypto.
Oh yeah.
And by the time the people that see the attention want to get in, the Trump meme's over, the Melania meme's over.
Mm-hmm. You won't get
Yeah,
10x returns at this point.
no,
Just
no,
throwing random money in there. But yeah.
exactly. The other thing I wanted to say that I am an internal optimist on is as traditional finance comes on board, they're not going to just throw away all their rules. I mean, they're not going to, BlackRock, Fidelity, any of those aren't going to say, well, we're going to suspend doing X, Y, and Z. I think they still want to protect their customers as much as they can. And I think it won't be quite the Wild West that many people think it will on that side of the market.
Let me jump in here. I think you're right, but I think the key distinction is here is that prior to this and under previous administrations and increasingly around the world, there were draconian restrictions on financial freedom, right? And you saw it in Canada, you saw it here with crypto to banking. And the problem is the financial system was completely gated, completely permission, touch a button, turn your shit off. The thing is that is not ideal. There needs to be a foundation of openness, of decentralization, of accessibility, of censorship resistance. Then on top of that, you can build permission layers. But if you live in a free democratic society like a Western country like we do, you need that baseline of the Wild West at the very base that you can always access, so you can't be shut out. And that's what we have in crypto now. And I think that those permissions from these institutions are going to be brought on top of the blockchain, and we're going to have the best of both worlds now. So, and just hearing you talk, I keep going back and forth between being, oh, this could be get out of hand, this could get crazy, but then I'm incredibly optimistic because people can build things now. There's no doubt about it. The president launched a meme coin on Solana. Yeah. Any builder who wants to build anything legit, and you can talk about the implications for token prices, how people view the space, positive, negative, whatever. But the real builders can keep building. And I'm a long-term believer that blockchain technology is fundamentally more effective a financial system, and that we're going to see amazing things be built now that the regulatory guidelines are going to be in place. It's clear that you can actually innovate, and I think that's a really, really good thing for the space. And last thing, the media is also off this weekend. So they're going to get back probably Monday because of the inauguration, be a lot of media. It's going to be all over the place. The fact that the president just multiplied his net worth by billions of dollars. He has his own token. They did another, like, that's going to be all over the place. So I'm really excited to see what the reaction from normal people are, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And, here's a practical thing. I never want to have to use a VPN again, period. They're not, I was reading some Discord. Someone said, oh, I don't know if I can say it. I'm like, bud, the president of the United States launched a meme coin. You can say anything you want now.
Yeah.
So that's number one. And number two, for those protocols that want to have tokens, there's no reason not to.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no reason not to. So that in and of itself opens things up. Now you can tie things to tokens. You can tie rewards to tokens. But, the big one, Uniswap. What if Uniswap turns the fee switch on? What's that going to do to Uni?
Well, all of them. That's why I like Aave. I like Uni. I like Lido still. I like Hyperliquid a lot too, just because if things are coming on chain more and more, you have this native perp DEX that already dominates the mind share, and they're buying back tokens with the fees, and that's another one that's going to just be able to directly, as an American, you could own the token. Like some fintech front end could offer it to you. You get trading fees from liquidations and stuff, which is crazy. And same for Uniswap, all of it. Yeah,
exactly. And there's no, at least for 4 years, there's going to be no repercussions. Now, fully expect bad shit will happen in the next 4 years. There'll be sensible regulations. Tomorrow, evidently, there's going to be an executive order for a crypto being a national priority and setting up an advisory board to work with industry. I think most people on that will be credible to the industry, and certainly the industry will be credible. So it's all good stuff. We got to just get through the next couple days. And I mentioned this to you earlier, and I know this is a crypto podcast, but Trump's doing this for crypto. His buddies in traditional finance are in a 600 times bigger market. What's going to happen to that? And you mentioned this about the amount of cash flowing into crypto this weekend for the Trump meme coin. I wrote in the show notes, and we probably won't get to this, but I'll just say this. There was a report today that there is now something on the order of 800, I think it's $1 billion sitting in money market funds, which is an all-time high because interest rates are higher, risk-free investments. We just saw on Friday, though, the market pump because now there's a chance for rate cuts. So imagine $800 billion or $300 billion flowing back. It's just going to be a boom cycle for all assets, not cash, but for assets.
I think so. Yeah, I have less of a take on the macro stuff just because I'm less knowledgeable, but I do generally think markets just go up over the next 4 years under Trump. Yeah. And whether that gets us out of our long-term problem with the debt, which I think unironically, we should just start buying Bitcoin right now and then announce the strategic reserve before Bitcoin turbo moons. That could be a very viable solution. But overall, I'm very bullish just because the president launched a coin. Crypto, there's no barrier. The number one thing holding institutions, these traditional finance players, from getting into crypto before was fear of being fear of the SEC, essentially fear of Gary Gensler, fear of what's going to happen. Out the window completely. So the money can flow in unencumbered, and as the technology keeps getting built out, the pipes between traditional finance and crypto are going to continue to widen, so the money can just flow over. And once you can get tokenized stocks, maybe I'll buy some stocks once I can get them on base. I think that's coming soon. Honestly, they announced their intentions, and I think that's very likely within the next year. So,
yeah, absolutely. I agree with that absolutely. And I was just thinking about that. Like today, what if coin would have been on base?
Yeah,
and there was a market maker this weekend. People are speculating it's going to go up 30% on Monday. We could have seen
trading is the biggest value prop of crypto. The markets don't close. Why should they close?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And clearly the market maker infrastructure is there. It can all happen that way. And, full circle here. Coinbase is the center of a lot of this.
Yeah.
It's the center. And I'm happy I own Coinbase. And I think for people maybe that are just dabbing their fingers in it, stocks like Coinbase and Robinhood, maybe the Bitcoin miner stocks, if that continues, that's a little bit different because that's a hard asset.
Business too. Yeah.
But those sorts of things become pretty interesting when there's no fear of regulation.
100%. I'm just excited now, man, just because I think the prices go up. We all like making money, and that's great. I think we will. I think all I think you really want to hold assets over the coming 4 or 5 years. 100%. You want to hold as many assets as you can, like whether it be equities, whether it be real, like anything, just hold it. And our choice is crypto. Obviously, we know the markets and we can play them, but I think you want to hold assets. But yeah, just really excited to see what gets built and see what's unlocked with this. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Absolutely. Let's see. Let's continue on here. Let's see. I'm going to pull this up. Well, actually, Ben, why don't we talk a little bit, because by the time people see this, let's talk about our interview with Steven Cesaro.
Yeah, we can mention it real quick. He's a co-host of the Alfalfa podcast and a crypto trader. That's what he does professionally. And now he has this new community teaching people how to trade and sharing his calls called Magic Lines. So we can provide that. But we had a conversation with him, and he talked about his view on the markets and what he was expecting for the upcoming year. And maybe those things that I know he's like every trader is reevaluating after this weekend, because we talked to him actually 6 to 8 hours before the Trump point. Friday. It was Friday. So that might have shifted, but that was a great conversation. Anything you wanted to bring up from what you learned there?
So I learned more in that hour than probably 5 or 6 months of being in crypto at a more detailed level, a more nuanced level. Clearly very smart guy, has an analytical background. But the thing that was interesting to me was he admitted he was very emotion driven. Um, and you'll see in the interview, lost it all at least 3 times. I kind of lost count, and
Yeah.
has refined his process over and over and over. And there's really, really good information for young people in there, and people my age as well. And he had a very unique perspective on what's going to happen. And I couldn't help but hear a little bit of Ray Dalio, who he worked for at Bridgewater Capital, in
Well,
some of his comments. Is that true?
yeah, it is. And I think that really like Ray Dalio's thesis, which is why people expected him to come around to Bitcoin, is just it fits in very nicely into the whole crypto thesis, into the
Yep.
new whole Bitcoin thesis, because his idea is that there's this cyclical pattern of the rise and fall of the world's greatest power, typically a nation, a kingdom, whatever
Yep.
it might be over time. And you can map these things. And he did map them over time. And basically what happens is that it goes through this arc where the education quality starts off really high at the beginning of a new empire, and they train a really productive workforce. Yep. They build up all of these resources. Then eventually their currency becomes the world reserve currency. And what happens when this happens in the United States, the society can kind of relax a little bit. Whenever you have this power, everyone wants your money, so you're very wealthy. You can import goods cheaply. You have a lot of power, and your treasury is consisting of your money. You can do whatever you want with it. So this is the late stage. But then eventually, because of that, the society doesn't work nearly as hard. They're not as productive. They build up debt, and then they have to keep issuing debt to prop up this whole economy that they've built and the standard of living. Does this sound familiar at all?
Yes, that's happening right now, Ben.
Yes,
right now.
His thesis is that the United States is currently that power, and we're in the later stages of that cycle. And then usually there's the rise of a new power, and they come in, and this whole time they've been increasing their productivity, and eventually their currency will take the place of this one. So the idea is that Bitcoin becomes the new reserve asset for that. It's a global, credibly neutral reserve asset that anyone can obtain, and it's different because it's not a country. It's a neutral type of thing.
It's a nation state.
It's its own it's its own kind of it's its own thing.
It's a network state. Network state.
And these crypto networks serve a perfect role for that. So the thesis is that eventually these debt cycles aren't just going to reverse. There's going to be no austerity. That never happens. It can't. Debt's going to continue to be issued, and Bitcoin and other hard assets go to infinity against fiat dollars. And I think recently he actually admitted that Bitcoin is a very good candidate for that. He initially thought China, he initially thought some other India perhaps, but now he's somewhat gives credence to the Bitcoin take. And that is the take of, if you're a serious crypto person who believes in the core theses of the technology, and Bitcoin maybe is a little different from tokenization, the more tech forward things, but that's what you believe. And I believe that. I think that will happen. And I think you believe that too, which is why you own Bitcoin. And I've probably owned some Bitcoin. Admittedly, I don't right now, but I'm trying to outpace Bitcoin to be able to buy more, essentially. But if I was trying to go risk off for 10 years, fall asleep, I'd feel pretty comfortable in Bitcoin for those reasons.
Absolutely. I agree with all of that. I wanted to jump back a little bit now, Ben, to the regulation aspect. And this is from Hunter Horsley, who runs Bitwise. And they every year do a survey of, let's see, I guess basically professional managers about what is the number one drawback to investing in crypto. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I told you this or not, but the number one drawback every year for the past 6 years is, quote, regulatory concerns.
Yeah.
Which just got thrown out the window.
100%.
So there's a data point supporting, what we're talking about. And full circle, these aren't crypto people. These are TradFi people that control way, way, way more money than the crypto universe as a whole.
Yeah, I think so. And crypto has been slowly gaining legitimacy too, but it takes something like this to do it, because most people, financial advisors, even most normal people, just defer to the authority. And if the authority, the regulatory body, is having a negative stance of something, they usually just accept that and say, yeah, look, and understandable why people had a negative opinion of crypto. If you just see the FTX thing, you just see all these memes, it's fair, it's reasonable, so I understand it. But at this point, the tune is changing at the highest level, so that trickles down. And over the next 4 years, I think the the perception of crypto changes. And I hope the nuances of it doesn't help that he launched the meme coin on Solana, but I hope the nuances of the differences between the Solana meme coins and just the shit coining and all of that, and the fact that you can tokenize financial instruments to get all these benefits on a blockchain
Mm-hmm.
are fleshed out, so people really understand what the technology is, what's just fun, what's all of that. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, moving on here. I wanted to now. I'm going to ask you this. Do you know what Wintermute is?
Yeah, they're a market maker.
Okay, so Wintermute has a conference every year, and I want to just read the three most bullish predictions from that conference. I guess they surveyed all their participants because these are ones I hadn't heard before, but very big picture, very good. Number one, the U.S. will begin consultations to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and China, UAE, and Europe will be, quote, forced to follow.
Hmm.
That's number one.
Yeah, I agree. And wait, just quick comment. That's why we should do it first, because if we do it, it's legitimized and we're the first mover. We make a shit ton of money. But yes,
Yes. And that's going to happen tomorrow.
I think he might announce it tomorrow, honestly. And that's why I'm super bullish all the coins tomorrow, especially Bitcoin, especially coin stock. But yes, agree.
Yes. Number two, and this is core capitalism. Number two, a large corporate event will be completed and settled in a stable coin.
That'd be cool.
Merger or acquisition.
That'd be
Something like
cool.
Coinbase could buy somebody.
That'd be very
Uh,
cool.
that's as traditional as you get. And the cost of doing that would be what, 15 cents?
Yeah, no
Something
fees.
like that.
Very cool.
Um, now this was another very traditional one, and maybe you can tell me why this is so important, but it's quote a quote systematically important bank will offer spot cryptocurrency trading to clients.
Yeah,
Is that's like JP Morgan, Bank of America,
yeah.
Deutsche Bank, somebody like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. In the current, the reason why this is problematic right now is that at SAP 121, which is like a SEC Bolton, which is like an informal ruling. This kind of leads into the Chevron deference thing, where the court
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to defer to the agency's ruling. But previously, that wasn't true, and the SEC had this Bolton that basically said that banks had to hold crypto on their balance sheet as liabilities.
That's
And that
right.
just is weird accounting. It makes no sense. And I don't know the details of it because I'm not like a banker and accountant, but it made it very difficult, almost impossible for any of these banks to do that. And that'll be gone. Trump's just going to get rid of that day one, probably. That's going to be one of his executive orders. And by the way, crypto's a strategic priority and national priority for the Trump admin, which is cool. So hopefully it happens fast. But that's why they're predicting that, I think, and that would be huge.
Yeah, exactly. So those are three things, and note those three things all happened. All the stuff we're talking about now happened before Friday night at 8 p.m. These
Yeah,
are all things
crazy.
pushing the rock down the hill already. And
And we know he's not lying about it being a priority because he launched the coin like before he even got in.
yes,
Like this is like front and center. It's right there. And of course he's doing other things like trying to buy Greenland and some other stuff. But overall, it seems like we're top of mind, and it just made him billions of dollars. So that
yes.
helps.
The next thing I wanted to bring up, you and I thought was incredible when it happened, and now it's sort of like an afterthought, and that is Coinbase is letting people take out USDC or USDCD loans using Bitcoin, CBTC or Bitcoin as the collateral.
Yeah, I think
And
that's very cool.
they're using Morpho as the
Yeah.
lending party,
Yep.
integrating it on the app. And I'm trying to look it up here. Oh, they're literally saying, quote, you'll get your loan in under a minute.
Wow. And by the way, this is what's going to happen. I think it's going to be huge. Like direct access to DeFi protocols, on chain protocols, there's going to be no issues in terms of regulation being come after. So, like, you just need to solve the UX problem. And Coinbase is working on it. A bunch of smart people are working on it. So, I think that more and more of that's going to happen. More people using DeFi, more people using these apps. And by the way, that's a base chain integration. So you see the
Yeah.
vertical integration of Coinbase with base chain. They have the wallet, they have it all. So that's one example of that. Morpho's on base.
So let's talk about this a little deeper because you and I have had this discussion before. But, you know, if you want to make a big asset purchase, say a house, and you have, Bitcoin's a it's not stable, but it's probably not going to go to zero. These sorts of things allow access to your cash with no tax implications. In fact, it's all positive because you can deduct the interest you pay essentially, again, for 10 cents.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and, obviously this implies this isn't like real world asset home equity loan. You have the asset, but this is a huge step to me
Yeah.
to get access to this stuff. And it's sort of like bringing access that billionaires have to more normal people, right? They
Yeah.
want to buy a car and they don't
Yeah.
want to have the tax consequences,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
And once you tokenize the equities, once you get tokenized coin stock and other
Yes.
stocks on there, you do it with assets that more people own. The stock market's much bigger than the crypto market. So you do it with
Yeah.
against your S&P that you've been buying, the DCAing in for years, and it's one of your biggest holdings. It's less volatile, so you can get like market based interest rates against that. And
Yeah.
typically, in like again, I don't trade stocks at all, but I believe that most brokerages, it's a margin account. You can get loans against your assets, but
Yeah.
it has to stay in the brokerage. You can't do whatever you want with it. In this case, you'll be able to do that and really do whatever you want with it, which is really cool. Because otherwise, you need to go to meetings. You have to be a high net worth individual. It's a very long process, and normal people can't do that. But once they can, I think that'll be very cool, and that's enabled with something like this.
Yeah. And I guess just the simple thing of your collateral is locked until you repay your loan is built into the smart contract.
Yeah.
It's like, well, there's no period. There's nothing else to worry about.
And this is the one thing, the way I explain crypto to people too is like, why is it better in like programmable blockchains, right? It's because basically, whenever you're using any of these financial services, you're implicitly paying the operating costs of these ginormous institutions. They have
Yeah.
huge buildings in Manhattan. They have all these, like, they have employees, they have everything. But in crypto networks, you basically subsidize the infrastructure through an interesting game theory construction where certain participants, the validators, are incentivized to contribute to the network with capital or compute power with token rewards. And then there's other entities that do other tasks and activities for different incentives. And the whole thing is a blockchain, and that gives you this infrastructure without actually having to offload that cost to the end consumer, which I think is like the best mental model for why crypto financial rails are simply better. It's because there's just a better design from the technology level.
Mm-hmm. And Ben, this sort of gets into some interesting stuff where you could have individuals accepting as collateral, say, let's just keep it in crypto, a riskier meme coin or a riskier protocol as collateral and bidding on the interest they pay, or they would charge a user to deposit that as collateral to borrow USDC, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
would be, I mean, if I'm a bank, I am sprinting to crypto as fast as I can because somebody that figures it out is going to put a lot of them out of business very quickly.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's either you adapt or you die, and that's just what happens. That's how technology works, and it makes things more efficient over time. And this is no exception. I think we see that. I think this is like the thing about, you can complain about the meme coins, and sometimes it's not the best look, right? But it really has gotten to the point where we made ourselves relevant enough. So now
Mm-hmm.
this technology can actually start replacing all the infrastructure, and now we have the administration that's going to allow it over the next 4 years. I think this is a really key period. This was like a closing window of this being possible. And it seems like we're going to have the opportunity here in the United States to make ourselves at the forefront. And there's going to be a lot of really interesting companies, projects that are born out of this that will live on and serve as the face of the financial industry for the
Yeah.
next 10, 20, 50 years.
Yeah, there's going to be a bank called General Crypto or Crypto of America
Yeah,
or
100%.
JP Morgan Crypto, something like that.
It's
It's going to
adapt or
happen.
die. If they pivot, then great. If not, then someone else will do it.
Yes. So I'm trying to pull up the last thing that I wanted to talk about, which was China talking about the digital yuan,
Yeah.
whatever it's called.
Well, it's I think the yuan is Japan. No, that's a yen. I think it's a yuan and the renminbi. It has two
Yes.
names for some reason. Yeah.
Yes. So they basically are going full barrel into that. Announced this past week in their, I don't know, yearly planning cycle of the Communist Party of China or whatever the hell it is. But they're pushing their own currency at a time when their economy is faltering pretty heavily. The government is kind of supporting all of this stuff, and this digital yuan is basically going to also raise the surveillance of their people at a time when the rest of the world is completely opening up.
Well, exactly. Yeah, this was the argument crypto people made to the Biden admin over the previous 4 years to try to
Yeah.
get them to open up. It's like crypto, public, permissionless, democratically controlled, decentralized rails are fundamentally American, fundamentally open. They promote liberty, they promote freedom, and the only alternative, really, just because of the whole Ray Dalio declining nation state thing that's going on, is to pivot to these crypto rails and make sure the U.S. wins it, so we can keep these
Yep.
values, export the dollar, and beat this
Yes.
thing. And I do think that they would have had like there's the whole BRICS coalition, which includes Brazil, Russia, China, all these other
India,
ones.
China. Yeah.
Yeah, some Middle Eastern countries perhaps, but really they were banding together. But the issue they would have had is that the Western countries, where a lot of the innovation really is, the U.S. and its allies, were never going to accept that. So it was like a rivalry there. But I really don't think that this part of the world, it would have just fragmented things even more. And if they were cut off from this open economy because they have this closed system that we perhaps refuse to use, and I believe they're still more dependent on us by far than we are on them. And that's debatable, but likely true, especially as we continue to onshore, continue to manufacture more here, grow our own food, all that. Um, they would have had an issue, but this is just a great step in that direction. And now I'm really confident that we see these crypto open rails win, as opposed to the more dystopian future that China was promoting with this digital yuan. So
I agree with that. 100% agree with that. And you know, this is talking way out of school, but China and their way of governing was succeeding as the standard of living of billions, hundreds of millions to billions of people continued to increase.
mhm.
This is a test for them now because that's no longer the case. It's hard now, and are those people going to become dissatisfied when basically no matter what they have more access to the outside world, no matter what China wants to do, or will they just by nature say, okay, our government's going to take care of us. I am a single person and I have no voice.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it will be interesting, and we'll see. Again, this is out of our wheelhouse, bit geopolitics, macroeconomics,
Yeah.
but it's fun to comment on. And I think we'll see how Trump's going to be tough on China. He said so. It'll be interesting to see what happens. He's proposing very high tariffs of 20 to 50% on some goods from China specifically, and we'll see how they respond. And now we have the whole scrutiny of TikTok, which was briefly banned, and I think it's going to be back though because Trump said he's going to
It's
extend the
back.
deadline for them to review. But there's a whole fiasco there. So I think the competitive dynamic between China and the U.S. is still here. But for the first time within the last 5 years, it feels like we're winning. It really
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
So that's great.
I agree with that. And one last thing before I have a rant that I want to go off on. All right. But the
Nice.
last thing that this is going to be weird to say, but I almost feel like when Reagan came into office that America, at least on a technical front, has a chance again to rise above. Now we have a lot of social issues that I don't think this administration will be great at, but certainly between crypto and AI, it's going to be in the United States again, unless something just crazy changes. Which, well, hell, Trump launched the meme coin, so something crazy can happen. But those two dynamics could propel us for 15, 20 years, just like the internet did. And before that, just like investment in DoD to bring down the wall, advanced all of this technology-based stuff. So it sort of seems like a good time to be an American. We have to remember our values, which are helping people and things like that. And I think the normal people will. But it's just an exciting time.
Yeah, 100%.
Um,
100%.
so my rant, you're going to laugh. So Mode Network had 50% vesting on their tokens on their second airdrop.
Quick comment. This is so niche. Even crypto people probably don't even know this is going on. But keep going. That's fine.
Yeah. Uh, they changed the rules at the last minute. Okay, instead of you had to wait 90 days, and now they're linearly vesting another 90. That other 90 never came up before, and yeah, I don't like that. But some people get so worked up over this, and I get it. You know, I understand why Mo did it. They want to preserve the value of their token, which has been doing spectacularly. Other people want their coin, make claims they're going to stake it, they're not going to dump it, which are completely unsubstantiated. You can't verify that at all, right? And I basically got in an argument with a guy and said, you know, look, I get your opinion, but you have no vote. You're on this Discord and you think you're a core user, top 1,000. You're not. We're all peons because the top 10 own 80% of the tokens, and if they want to vote to do, they want to do. And then it went into this. They talked about their rights. We have no rights. If you want rights, let's use the other R word, regulation. No one wants that. So it just drives me crazy that people think that the owners of these protocols are these altruistic people. No, they're in it to make money. They could be the greatest people in the world, and I support them in their fact of making money. But until there's regulation, we just have to accept that, and we have to make judgment calls on how we're moving forward. And the way you fix that is if you don't like it, you take your money, you use this little device, and you move and you leave. All right? No one wants to hear you whine. I get so tired of hearing these people whine. Wah, wah, wah. This wasn't fair. You know what? And you know, maybe that's all the kids that got participation trophies, and when they came in last place in their leagues, mom and dad took them and got an ice cream and a Coke or something. But it just drives me absolutely bonkers.
That is quite the rant. I have no comment there. I guess I would say, yeah, people complain. It's not even, but it's your financial decision. It's always your responsibility. People just complain because it's just it makes you helpless. Basically, you're always in charge in crypto. You decide to put your money in something. You agreed to this or that. Anything could happen. If you know they had the ability to do something, then if it's possible, then you implicitly took on that risk when you invested or did a certain thing. So if you really cared about that from the beginning, then you should have not invested, or you just didn't do enough due diligence, and that's your fault also. So I think that's the gist of it. Everything is always your fault. Just offloading blame never works. It never works for anyone. Like it even if it could be partially true, it doesn't help anything for you personally. So people just need to stop complaining generally. But I agree, it's not helpful. Or
the other thing that comes up all the time, in addition to their right, is they imply that the moral character of the founders is poor. It's like it goes from this money thing to their moral character, and they're liars and all this. And you know what? I'm sure they didn't do it on purpose, or maybe they did and they are liars. But let's stop making this jump from being a judge of a person's moral character and it's this passive aggressive bullshit because they have no ability to affect change. So they try to convince the moral character, they try and shame the moral character of the people controlling it so that they change their minds. And you know what my comment was? My comment was, if these founders change their minds, I'll be freaking pissed. And they're not fit to run a protocol or a company that'll go anywhere more than where it is now. So anyway, I had to get that off my chest.
It was like a therapy session. This is
life
as a crypto native involved in the politics of a medium protocol.
Yeah, and I'll say this: he called me an old man because he watched our show, and actually, I think that was meant to be an insult, but I did appreciate that a lot because he watched our show, and I am old.
Thanks for the view. Maybe he watches this too.
We did leave it on a good note. I didn't call him any names. I told him I respected his opinion. He went to the gym, worked it off. We're all good now. But I just hope people understand that it is like you said. You said it better. It's their responsibility. It's their accountability.
Well, that's the thing. People always, this is one of the things, I actually don't think regulation is an issue at all. It's just personal responsibility. Like, there doesn't need to be, like, you don't want people flat out scamming people, right? If it's a complete rug pull, whatever, you need to, like, regulate that or go after those people, deter it somehow. But you should be able to buy whatever you want. This is why Gary sucked. He told me I couldn't get an airdrop. I couldn't get free money. I
Oh
couldn't
yeah.
gamble on this coin, and I made a bunch of money. Like, shut up. Like, it's my responsibility. It's my
Right.
choice. I thought
Right.
this was America. So that's the end of it. It's responsibility. It's just personal responsibility.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I feel better, Ben. Thanks for listening. Sir Crypto out there, I do appreciate you being there. And I think us all learning other people's opinion is a great thing. We need more people like you and like me and like, I don't know, the other folks that I don't really know anything about in crypto. And we need to learn from each other all over the world.
Yeah, 100%.
So, all right, Ben. I don't have anything more on my sheet here to talk about.
I don't have much either. I just want to
Okay.
say, will be an interesting week. I don't know what to expect. Markets are crazy right now. I'm still in the market. I'm generally bullish, but so much has happened that it's just there's so much uncertainty. Like, I'm not holding any leverage anymore because I think it's so uncertain. We could have
Yep.
huge drops followed by immediate new all-time highs. I think very likely. It's just some ginormous sell-offs, test the market, liquidate some people, big whales buy in, but on a medium-ish time frame, I think everything that happened is super bullish. The TradFi guys are probably going to get in their offices and buy a bunch of Bitcoin ETH, hopefully, unless they think this is bearish. But I'm still pretty bullish. I do think we're in the later stages of the cycle now. Just there's some clear cycle tops here, but I do think I'm bullish over the next 4 years. So if you want to be in, let's say it depends what your situation is, right? There's going to be a lot of gambling opportunity opening up because all this nonsense. But at the same time, if you just want to invest, we got pretty clear confirmation that Bitcoin and hopefully ETH, as World Liberty Finance and Trump is buying ETH and they're building on it, are going to be used. They're going to be accepted. People can build on them, integrate them with the financial system. That's clear confirmation. So if you're bullish crypto, it's massively de-risked now. And I think like the de-risking is the biggest thing that's going to enable the TradFi guys to buy, and people are going to start allocating simply because they know it's not going to go down by 80% because of some
Yeah.
regulatory black swan or de facto illegal status.
Exactly. I agree 100% with all that. All right. Well, Internet Capitalist, hang tight this week. Hang on to your seats. It's going to be a fun one. And, this is going to be a fun 4 years.
Yep, agree.
All
Stay
right.
safe.
We're out.
Bye.